Election Day is Tuesday, November 6th, and CMU Public Broadcasting again brings you Meet the Candidates, the election year series that gives you the chance to meet those seeking state and national office.
Support of WCMU is provided by Flint Institute of Arts, presenting Drawing Together International Cartoons. The exhibition features 300 cartoons from the Iden Doan Foundation International Competition and runs through December 30th. FlintArts.org.
Welcome to this edition of Meet the Candidates. I'm Mike Horace, and we're joined this time by Pam Jackson. She's running as a Democrat in Michigan's 39th State House District. That seat is open this election cycle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
In the first few minutes we have, can you give us some background about yourself and talk about the experience you're bringing into this race?
The background, extremely diverse. I used to teach high school back at Milford High School, where I graduated from, West Bloomfield High, and then Lakeland High School for 5 years. And then I graduated and ended up teaching over at Oakland Community College for the last 30 years. So I have a master's degree in mathematics. Somewhere along the line, I started a construction company. So I owned a construction company and went and obtained a master's degree in industrial tech construction management, and then created all the construction and concrete programs at the college. So currently, I'm a math professor. I teach construction management and concrete construction management. And very involved in the community. I was just recently the president of the Lakes Area Rotary Club, so very, very involved.
Tell us about the district you're running for. What is the geography of it?
Geography goes from farmlands right across the street from my house, where there's a nice Long's Farms with the apples and the pumpkins and everything, and then it goes into West Bloomfield. So it actually encompasses the city of Wixom, village of Overing Lake, Commerce Township, and then the west side of West Bloomfield at Farmington Road and 14 Mile it covers.
This is an open seat this cycle, so as somebody going into it, if you are elected, what will some of your priorities be?
Oh, some of the priorities, I know that we, in our district, and like many districts, we have really good public schools, and we want to make sure that we maintain quality public education. And I know the people, as I've been going door to door, have been concerned about also not only the education, but the pension tax that has been brought onto them. And they said, Pam, is there a way you can repeal that? I said, get up there and I will do my darndest to repeal the pension tax. The public school education, and then most importantly also is jobs, finding ways to bring jobs back into the community. And then we have lots of lakes and rivers and streams, and so the environment is also a very important issue.
Let's start with that issue of education. What do you see as being some of the biggest challenges right now when it comes to education in Michigan?
Some of the biggest challenges right now, when they uncapped the lid on charter schools, the numbers of them. The money is actually leaving public schools, and the dollars are flooding over to charter schools. And so while I have seen public schools close schools because of the number of children leaving, and then the money going out is just running to charter schools. And I'm doing research now, and the research doesn't show that the charter schools are doing any better than the public schools. So I don't know why they are trying to dismantle public schools.
Is this a time where we should be looking at the funding mechanism for public schools?
I think the funding mechanism needs to look at. Prop A was really good when it got started, so maybe we need to take a look at and maybe do a hybrid of Proposition A, and take a look at some other issues. But just because something was started a long time ago doesn't mean it's necessarily fitting today.
You mentioned the pension tax is one of your big issues. How is that affecting people in your district, and do we do a straight repeal, or does it need to be repealed and replaced with something else?
First of all, I'd like to go straight repeal. How is it affecting people? It's gone from, depending on what age level I'm walking into, some of them who have just recently retired said, I can't afford to go out as much. I can't afford to even buy things. So it's affecting the local economy. And then some other age groups I'm hitting, they're trying to decide, do I want food or my medication? And that's really a sad state. And I believe a lot of these different taxes and deductions that they've taken away from the middle class came about because of the $1.8 billion tax break they gave to big corporations. So they're trying to fill the hole, and they dug such a big hole that this is not going to help. But we need to take a look at what's going to be a fair tax. Personal property tax for the small businesses really needs to go away, but again, be replaced with something fair, because if we remove all the taxes, then the municipalities have nothing to work on, and we need the services.
In terms of jobs, I know that's a big issue in your district. You've seen manufacturing facilities close, including in the city of Wixom. How do you start to rebuild that job space in your district? What are some things that can be done from the state level to help these local communities?
Well, for the last couple of years, I haven't seen many incentives created to bring businesses into Michigan. They've been busy doing other things. I won't mention that. But I'd like to see incentives come in for the renewable energies and the alternative energies. The Ford Wixom plant started to go that direction, and I think it still can be used, as well as some of our other manufacturing plants, especially, you have the wind energy, solar panels, that could be manufactured here instead of outside of the state.
How do we encourage companies like that to come to Michigan?
Well, if they know that we have viable public school education for their kids when they come and transfer in, and secondly, if we have a viable transportation system. So that means we have to work on the infrastructure, having better roads and bridges, and maybe start working on a mass transit system, a regional mass transit system. If they know that we're changing over and making these different changes here in Michigan, they're going to come in, especially like the bridge.
Talking about a mass transit system, this has been a very controversial issue in Metro Detroit for a number of years. What role do you think the state should be playing in encouraging a development of such a system?
Well, having the mass transit system will also encourage businesses to grow along the different avenues that they create, but you have to have a mass transit system as long as you have a place to go to, a viable place to go to. So it'll give a chance to reinvent Detroit, bring it back up, Flint, Ann Arbor. I mean, Ann Arbor is good, but to travel onto those different, get to Chicago really quick. And so we need the mass transit system. And I'm going to push on the bridge because there've been so many negative commercials on the bridge. See, one of the things I teach is concrete construction management, and I've had my students down at Lafarge cement company down on the river. And if we're going to build a bridge, we are going to build a bridge. But when they make it, there's two things I really like to see change with that. There's concrete that absorbs carbon dioxide and not emit it. So that'll be green, technology for the environment. And then there's also solar panels that are embedded in the concrete. So now we can create the grid, light up the bridge, and create a grid on both sides so we can be a global model for the rest of the world. It'll create jobs. So here's a great place to come live, start in Detroit, work our way out, start working on the mass transit system, make better roads and bridges, and build it, and they will come.
You said the environment is a big issue for you. You're from the Lakes area of
Yes.
Oakland County, of course. What are some things that you could do if you go to Lansing, if you are elected, to help protect those lakes and protect our environment?
Well, there are subdivisions like the one I have my house in, and I'd asked the civil engineer at the time, did you put in a triple filtration system before the water left the road to go into the river? Well, no, our area is clean. We don't have to worry about it. We have to worry about it. So it's like when new subdivisions come in, to make sure that there are like triple filtration systems if they're going in, they can start using pervious concrete in the road so that the storm drains don't have to get filled up. So it's using better technologies when doing construction and reconstruction.
I know you've been campaigning now for a number of months. As you talk to people in your district, we've mentioned these couple of concerns they have. What are their general feelings towards Lansing right now?
They have a lot of distrust because when someone said we were going to go in and make changes because there wasn't a plan set out ahead of time, and then these changes came about more rapidly and not what they expected, so there's a lot of distrust.
How do you go about changing that?
Well, as I'm knocking door to door, I said, here's my background. I've been in the district many decades, and so they know me. I ran for the state senate in 2010, so I've been knocking these doors for a long period of time. But it's letting them know that I'm here, here's my phone number, call me if you have any questions. And they know my background, and it's extremely diverse.
You have been in this district for a while now. Is it different this year compared to previous years because of the redistricting that we recently went through?
Different in terms of?
In terms of the values of the district, have you seen a demographic change, for example? Have the issues changed because of that?
Well, they really want better roads because we've seen too much of the roads being torn up in the various, Walled Lake, Commerce Township is working on some. Even Orchard Lake now is outside of my district. Orchard Lake Road has been in shambles. That's because we need to really work on changing the specifications. And the district says, well, Pam, your background's in concrete and construction. Can you get up to Lansing and help them change the specifications so we don't have to see the orange barrels every 5 years? So it's the concerns about the roads and bridges also in the area.
It seems like infrastructure is a really big issue
yes.
for you. And I know the area well, and it's a fairly congested area. So are there immediate things the legislature can do? Do they need to pass road spending bills, for example?
They can, yeah, road spending bills would be good. And I was just in Lansing a couple of weeks ago, and they said, would you up the taxes so we can have better roads and bridges? I said, I don't want to up any tax if we're going to build the same, conduct business the same as usual. You have to change the specifications, make the roads last longer than 5 years or 10 years. And then once you let people know and advertise it that we're going to change the specifications, they may not mind this extra amount of money. But to just up the gas tax just to say we're going to do more, if you don't change how you do it, we don't want any part of it.
We only have a minute or two left. Make your final pitch to voters. What message would you like them to walk away with from this interview?
What I want them to walk away with is that I'm a hard worker. You can go on my website, Pam Jackson, forestatehouse.com. I've got my full resume out there. You can see everything that I've done for the college, for the people in the community. And with my diverse background between education, construction, I'm finishing a dissertation working on the Department of Corrections for prison education, that I'll be able to walk into Lansing and handle a lot of major issues and hit the ground running right from the beginning.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We were joined this time around by Pam Jackson. She is running in Michigan's 39th State House District as a Democrat. That seat is open this November. And a reminder, you can find our entire Meet the Candidates series on our website, WCMU.org. And come November 6th, please do exercise your right to vote. For everybody at CMU Public Broadcasting, I'm Mike Horace. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us for Meet the Candidates. CMU Public Broadcasting invited both major party candidates for this office to participate in this series.
Welcome to this edition of Meet the Candidates. I'm Mike Horace, and this time we're joined by Neil Billington, Democratic candidate for Michigan's 43rd State House District. Neil, thank you for joining us today.
I want to thank you very much for having me.
In the first few minutes we have, can you give us some background about yourself and tell us about the experience that you're bringing into this campaign?
Yes. I retired from GM in 1992, 20 years ago. I live in Waterford, Michigan, and I'm running for state representative, and I want to work with everybody, what we need to do.
Tell us about the district you're running in. Where is it geographically, and tell us about the people in it.
All right, geographically, it would be Lake Angeles, Waterford, Independence, and Clarkston. And it consists of majority Independence, and Clarkston's has always been Republican for over 30 years. And we have to change these things. We have to change them. People's been there for 30 years seeing these things, and it's got to be changed for it and give us a chance.
This election year, what do you see as the major issues?
The major issues would be number one, Proposal 1, which is where the financial emergency managers come in. And they're coming in there and they're dictating. The governor's got full rule. And when he comes in there, he turns around and takes all the voters' rights away from them, the elected officials. And then from there, it's your schools. He takes everything from everybody, and then he turns around, and then he hires a financial emergency manager. And this is where we have to make changes. In this election, there is going to be on the ballot Proposal 1. And I'm urging everybody to vote no on it. I do not support these things, because the financial managers doesn't sometimes make it even better. It's already a mess. And when people come back it's not much better, or maybe it is, but it doesn't give the people the right for collective bargaining and negotiating. And they take those things away from the people as well.
On this issue of Proposal 1, these emergency managers, they're being appointed to help cities that are in financial difficulties. What would a better way be to do these things, in your opinion?
I would think, as a leader, I would take and go to these cities where they need the help, and you join people together from council, mayor, who's ever there as elected official, and you work with these people, and you work side by side. And then from there, you tell them, I'll be back in 5 days, I'll be back in 7 days. And then from there, you leave them with a plan, and then you move on. And then from there, you're saving the state financial monies that they're paying big dollars, a lot of money for. And then we go back again the next week or the next week, whatever it takes. You do it on your own. Because I was a shop committee of the UAW for 18 years. I did my job. I represented the people. And that's exactly what I would do in Lansing. Be a voice for the people.
I know you were involved in the manufacturing industry for a number of years. Tell us how that experience will translate to Lansing should you be elected.
Perfect opportunity, because the fact I went to management, Oakland University, management schooling at Oakland University in Rochester Hills. I've done all these things, been there, and I've trained, worked with 9,636 people, and I've negotiated contracts after contracts, local wage seniority agreements, national agreements, health and safety, working environment. I worked with OSHA in Lansing. I worked with all these things. So I have a little bit of the advantage by doing these things from the past.
Many people this election season, they're very concerned about jobs. There's obviously a high unemployment rate in this state. If you are elected, what will you do to help create jobs, to help bring businesses back to Michigan?
First thing we'd like to do is take and get with all the cities in my district or townships. We need the police, fire, EMS, and the schools. That's my number one priority. It's family priority one. And then from there, we work with the administration, we work with the council people, and we ask them, tell us what you want. Give us a direction as well in creating jobs. We can do this. It's simple. It's called common sense. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out what's happening. The middle class, they just keep eating us away. The middle class is going away. And we got to bring it back to the average, normal, priority one families, which is everybody. It's all of us.
What are some of those problems that the middle class is facing right now?
They're facing reform in taxes, high taxes, shrinking benefits, and then high utility bills, and my pension's still the same. We got to take back and bring back the money to the people.
In terms of education, in terms of these local economies, it seems like you're a very big proponent of local control and working within the communities where these jobs and businesses are being created. What can be done at the state level to encourage more of that work on the local level?
You take, again, and you come back, you join people, you gather people up, like I've been telling people on my campaign trails. I want your wants, your needs, your concerns, and we're going to work on them. I'm going to write them down. I don't care, 10,000 people, 50,000 people. I want to talk to people, including health care, work on these issues to bring things back and take to Lansing and to resolve these things without writing House bills that go dead. No, they're not going to go dead under my watch. They're not.
Let's talk about some of those people you've met on the campaign trail. What are you hearing from voters in your district? What are their biggest concerns?
Number one is schools, public schools. They're worried about all these other schools, charter schools, Cypress schools, all these other things that's coming in, and I will not support them or even help them, give them a dime. Where they started from is where they can go. We need the monies to be allocated to our private schools. Then they talk about health care. People tell me I do this, I do that, but I can't afford it. It's too expensive. And we have to work on reforming health care.
What are some of the common sense solutions you have for our healthcare issues?
Common sense would be where all doctors pay up to 5% into a fund. They put into this fund for the people that cannot pay for the insurance to be allocated to them. You walk up there and I need things done. Every doctor in the state of Michigan puts into this fund. Now we have funds available to help these people that do not have insurance.
Going back to the education system for a moment, you mentioned the private versus public schools. Is it time to look at the funding mechanism for public schools, for education in general, or are there other reforms that we can do without touching that funding system?
Excellent question. Excellent question, Mike. That money, every school should be treated the same. Every child should get the same. You treat everybody equal, the same. And you work with the people to balance the budget and the books with the schools. Then you talk with the teachers and the principals. And you try to take, if you have to take cuts, we all take cuts. And it's going to happen. But from that point, you turn around and work with the schools by giving kids books. Where's the books? We need to get back common sense and the common thinking. Books, pencils, read and write, and let the kids think on their own feet instead of getting out there playing with games on computers, I'm talking.
If you are fortunate enough to be elected to the state legislature, what would your leadership style be in Lansing? I know there's been a lot of complaints over the last few years about the political tone in Lansing. What kind of representative would you be?
I would be one of the best Democratic, strongest that they've ever seen in Independence, Clarkston, because I take names, I take phone numbers, and I talk to people. I'm not scared of people or scared of nothing or nobody. Been there and done it again, Mike. And I want to work with the people, whatever it takes, whatever I got to do. I don't need to be paid to do this stuff. I get a pension. That's taxed. Isn't that nice? Seniors, they tax our pensions. So there, take more money from us. They get $1,200, $1,500 maybe a month. And then you turn around, keep taking away. By the end of the month, Mike, they got $100 left. And how do they live? It's amazing how the state is going right now. It's amazing.
Do you think you'll be able to reach across the aisle and work with the opposition if you are elected?
Absolutely, Mike. Because number one, I go to whatever party, whoever it is. We talk to them. And I'm going to try to get these things resolved. And if they don't do it, I write a House bill. I take it to them. I'm going to tell them, this is my reputation. You have 72 hours. I want you, that's 3 days. I want an answer. This is what we get paid for. They work 3 days a week in Lansing. Are we crazy? 3 days a week and 4 days off a week? I'm going to go to them. If it's not resolved, I'm going to the next step. And the next step until it ends up with the governor. And if that doesn't get resolved, then I go to TV. And I announce it to the TV people why we can't get these things done. Ladies and gentlemen, right here's your problem. It's not me. I'll bring it to you. Yes, sir.
We have just a moment left, so give us your final pitch to voters. What message would you like to leave them with today?
I would really, really like to make some changes in the state of Michigan as well. Independence in Clarkston's been always Republicans for 30 years or more. It's never been a Democrat in there. All I'm asking is give me the opportunity to serve you, represent you. This is a 2-year job, not for life like they've been in there. And this is a mess we're in. I'm asking, please, give me a chance, an opportunity to stand up for you, and I will take full responsibility, Mike.
Neil, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity again, and the TV station and everybody else above, and the parties.
Our guest this time has been Neil Billington, Democratic candidate for Michigan's 43rd State House District. Our thanks to him. And a reminder, you can find our entire Meet the Candidates series on our website, WCMU.org. And please, come November 6th, do exercise your right to vote. For everybody at CMU Public Broadcasting, I'm Mike Horace, and thanks for joining us.
This has been Meet the Candidates, a production of CMU Public Broadcasting. Both major party candidates were invited to participate in this series. For a complete listing of the air dates and times for this series, or to watch or listen to this program again, go to our website, WCMU.org.
Support of WCMU is provided by Flint Institute of Arts, presenting Drawing Together International Cartoons. The exhibition features 300 cartoons from the Iden Foundation International Competition and runs through December 30th. FlintArts.org.